I moved here in 1974 and started my studio in Hendersonville. I was the only potter that I was aware of in Henderson County at the time, young potter. I moved up here to be a part of the community, which was Southern Highlands Handicraft Guild, because they would buy work in the wintertime and keep their artists alive for the spring sales and all. So I thought that I could make a living if I was up here in the mountains. So, and so many of my friends, we've been so surprised at how Asheville has blown up the way it has, and thankful. I mean, it's a lovely place to be, and I don't have to go to a big city to get a good meal. But when I came here, there were young people trying to figure out making a living with their art, and that could be blacksmithing or clay or glass. And of course, Penland's lurking in the background as a place where people would come and love being here and love being in the mountains. You know, I grew up in the flatland. I always loved the mountains, wanted to be here. And it's so much a part of who I am to be here. I love other parts of the world, but I always like here, my home.
Well, I grew up, in it and around it. And to me, it seemed like, the only thing to do, or to be around, it's an ocean of creativity around here.
First, they had visitors from the fire department on that Thursday saying this may be worse than what we just had. And then they started warning us, yes, you probably need to live. They're in low-lying. Mm-hmm. We're sort of low-lying, but a little bit up from the creek. And so I'll let them tell the story, but they came and stayed with us that night. And we just thought it would be, wake up in the morning and we'd have high water and that would be the end of it. But it was cataclysmic in that early AM, right as dawn came. We realized this was not like anything we'd ever seen before. And that was about the time that I left the house in a raincoat and went to the end of my mailbox, just from the studio here, was talking to my neighbor. He was on his porch, and I watched the whole side of the mountain kind of in a big pie come all the way down into the river and slap into the river and plug the river. And I was agog. I mean, it's happening so fast. I should have ran away from it, but instead I just stood there and mud and stuff was splashed about 250 feet up toward my neighbor's house. And so I'm running down I said, I got to go downstream and see what's going on, because their house, they were not in it at the time, but their house is down that way. And I go running down and he comes in behind me. And by that time, all that stuff had let loose and it was horrific. It was, a little tiny stream, as you see down there, you can run and jump almost across it. Was just like nothing we'd ever seen before. Incredible impact, but the fact that 2 days later, after not being able to get across the river, we found out that Atticus and my son Micah, my oldest, they were okay. So it was like, here we're okay. But we spent probably 2 or 3 weeks just running triage up and down the valley for ourselves and for neighbors, and neighbors doing stuff for us. And we had a giant airlift. We have the only flat piece of ground down here in the gorge is the field you drove by. So somewhere between 40 to 50 people were airlifted out of that in one day and taken out of here. There's no power, no communications at all, no cellular, no anything. But we're one of the odd ducks. We have gravity-fed water, spring water, and gas for cooking and that kind of thing. The biggest thing was keeping our food from thawing completely out. But these guys were awesome. We'd wake up in the morning and start making lists of all the things we'd have to do, and we'd just get out and do them. And I think Josh Copas actually talks about that hero phase of being, you just got to do it. You don't have time to think about yourself, or, you've got things you got to do.
We still every day drive by the location we lost and drive by the places we've had other traumatic things happen and memories. And, unfortunately, we did have some fatalities in our valley and our area. It's, neighbors and places that are still there, and people you still remember. And that's, I think, one of the most lingering effects is sitting with those things and realizing I'm going to be in this place. I'm not leaving here. This is still home. This is still work. How do we reconcile all those things that happen against what we're left with? But we were kind of worried about, our own home, and we were focused on that. And, hindsight is honestly a very painful thing because, if we could go back, I still would have done some stuff for the house, but I would have gone and gotten computers and records and archival stuff out of the workshop. Because it really was one of the higher risk properties. I remember as a kid being on the back of the tractor with Dad after floods, and we lost a bridge, we lost a road. Okay, well, I don't have to go to school this week. This is kind of fun. But you knew things outside were somewhat okay. But I think this one was really terrifying because all we were hearing and being told was outside is not good. Town is not good. We really were not totally aware at all of the area of effect, but we knew all the people that were able to come in and out and spread information were not spreading good news. And so we kind of went into a lockdown, not, just our family, but our valley and our community. And really focused on providing for the people who stayed. The military came in and basically said, if you need to get out, you get out now. This is your chance. But if you can stay, you should stay. And when you've got someone looking at you going, if you can rough it out here, you don't want to go to town right now.
That's
unfortunately,
it was that bad.
Shootings at our local Ingalls grocery store. Just people going kind of crazy, in a circumstance like that. And everybody's trying to fend for themselves, and we were trying to make sure we were good, but we were really trying to fend for our community as a whole.
I'm going to tell one on these two because on that Wednesday, I came in and I don't know where I was or what I was doing, but there were 3 people in my house that I knew, but I didn't know them all that well, as their neighbors. There were 2 doors above them, and he had just had knee surgery, and she's not in great health, and we're raising a granddaughter. And so they were there the night of the big part of the storm on Thursday and Friday morning. And you go back to look at their house, and they would have probably not made it.
We've seen high water, and I think the problem was at the end of that 3rd day of the pre-storm, we knew, okay, this is bad now. And what was predicted was not looking good. And we had the very genuine warnings from the fire department coming in, and actually had us sign a list, saying that we had been contacted and basically essentially a next of kin. Which I told them, well, we'll be right up the road, so, you don't have to come looking far. But they were doing their best to get to everyone they could near water. The problem is in our area, water is beautiful and it attracts the animals and the people. And so a lot of what's built in this area is built by the water. A lot of the commercial space, a lot of the residential space is packed right around the rivers and creeks because it's where you want to be. It's gorgeous.
Could you talk a little bit about the Mudtools headquarters and what happened there?
Dad purchased that property. It's hard to believe it's 2012.
It's hard to believe.
It's hard. It's because I still say 4 or 5 years.
We had a carpenter working on it forever.
It was a 4 to 5 year rehabilitation. There are 3 buildings on the property where there was a 2-story home, there was a small workshop, and there was a bigger workshop, and those progressively were built up. And Dad oversaw a lot of the start of all that renovation and the finishing of the house, and then I came along and oversaw a lot of the shop workspace renovation after that. And we had just poured quite a lot of time, effort, and money into getting that facility up and running with CNC machines and plastic injection equipment, so we could mold in-house, and we were doing it. And we just got it done, so it was kind of
we were almost at 2 years.
But it really was. We'd approached this point with Mudtools. I was like, man, we could take a few days off. I can just kind of let this thing roll and step away, and it's kind of a whole reset of that. But we called that property 9A.
Yeah.
That's still its name, and it'll be its name forever. But it's just Highway 9, and it's property number 1. So 9A, and so 9B is right up the hill, and it's where we'll show you all today where we're surviving. And so those two properties are on the same road, separated by about 3 miles. But 9A housed all of our office space, all of Dad's archival storage, all of Mudtools paper storage, digital storage, all finished product. It housed our shipping and receiving department. My brother, Micah Sherrill, had an apartment upstairs in the second story of that building.
And he's a painter.
He's a painter.
And all his paintings.
Lecturer. I mean, he's an artist.
Yeah.
I mean, and as artists, we can respect. Our walls are covered in ceramic pieces and paintings, and you collect that through a lifetime, and you curate it through a lifetime. And he lost all that. I mean, he walked out with one bag.
Well, the way it went for him was he made it through that Wednesday night and woke up early in the morning, and because the people were working sometimes down below, what are they doing making so much noise packing down there? And then he kind of woke up and realized that's not packing. And then he looked out his window and realized that was big rocks coming down the river, clanking and beating. I mean, it moved, gigantic rocks. Yeah. And so he said, I better get out of here. He got one little bag, and I think he moved his car
across the bridge
and off right across the fire department. He put it over there, and he was there, and the water started getting up so high he couldn't watch. For anyone who wants to see it, it's house goes under the bridge, Bat Cave, North Carolina. Some lady above on the other side had filmed it and was just aghast when it went under.
I was told there was footage of the house going down. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I totally didn't.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And that footage is pretty amazing. I rewatched it recently, and one thing I didn't click with me until a couple times watching it is one of the last things to go underwater is the American flag.
Yeah.
That was on that building. And the whole building's crumpling down, and that flag is upright until it's one of the last things to go under. And you can still see right now the spots on the bridge where the house hit it. And it actually decapitated the roof off of the house, and the roof was on the bridge top, and the rest of it went underneath. And Micah actually was able to crawl under that and retrieve a few paintings that were hung on the wall in that section. They got busted off. But the house went down, the 2-story house, a small workshop we called the Spongin, where all
the sponges,
mud sponges that in the past 6 years were produced. And then we called it the Squirrel's Nest, was my machine shop, and that was a 50 by 50 foot cinder block building with a bay door on the front. And we had poured reinforced floors in it. We'd added 3 to 6 inches, partly because the floor was so unlevel, of concrete reinforced, and done a lot of other reinforcements because we weren't blind to the fact that we were on the water. We're very well aware of that, seeing how the water gets high, seeing how it's affected other areas. So it wasn't something that we were unaware of or not trying to mitigate, but you just don't. You can anticipate some scale, but you just can't anticipate that kind of scale when it comes through. And some things were left in the Squirrel's Nest, the machine shop. About 1/5 of the floor remained. And one of, like Dad said, that triage mode you just have to do. We had to go down there and empty out anything that survived.
We had a rope around him.
Yeah.
We had
tethered.
There's a few things left, and one of the amazing little stories is that our molds that make all the ribs one of them survived. And
sitting on the floor.
It was 6 inches from the edge. And at first I didn't see it. It was covered in insulation.
Yeah.
And then I was cleaning and moving, and I just went, no way. No way. And it was our mold. And it was not in running order, but we were able to send it off and get it repaired. And it is still making ribs. Yeah.
Yep.
And
The shape 0.
yep, shape 0.
Yep.
The beginning.
Yeah.
And we'll show you all later. So we actually have one of the injection machines has been recovered. It's actually sitting on the side of the creek right now.
Yeah.
It's a 8,000 pound machine. And it's also about 50 feet from the current creek. So that's how much power was rolling through there. They could take an 8,000 pound machine 50 feet off the riverbank and then bury it 8 feet. But, and you know, we're very eco-friendly, natural people, that we love our environment that we live in, and we try to do our best to respect it and continue its growth. And so to know that part of our stuff is what went down the creek, you know, is painful at first, and then you realize, well, everything went down the creek. You know, it's not something that we could have ever anticipated, but neither could anybody else, you know, coming through. But our tools, I had friends sending me messages that I couldn't get, saying, hey, I'm finding mud tools in the river and the lake. Are y'all okay?
Yeah.
And so we've been picking tools out of a creek now, doing cleanup.
Yeah.
Marjorie picked most of that stuff up today, this morning.
Yeah.
On the metal table over there. But we had 2 containers. One was filled with finished product. The other one was filled with our bulk sponges that we do all the work on. And one of them was wrapped around the bridge right down that survived with damage, was completely wrapped around one of the pylons in the river, just folded around it like an old cardboard box.
Another amazing thing of something making it through the water, at my desk at work, I kept a 1-of-1 prototype for a new tool that I won't describe too much. And I think about one weekend, my brother Atticus had been walking the creek, picking things up, and bringing about a 5-gallon bucket of tools home every afternoon. And we're sitting there having one of our first company team meetings. One of the first days we were officially, you know, back in business. And he walks in, he's got a 5-gallon bucket, he just sets it down. And the first thing that he pulls off the top of that pile is that 1-of-1 prototype.
Wow.
And it's scratched and it's got a little rust on it, but it's there, and it's there in full. And for an entire building to go through a blender and that to make it out unscathed it was returned to us. Well, welcome to Mudtools 9A facility. What's left of it. This shop here behind me we called the Squirrel's Nest, and it was our kind of our high-tech production facility. We had a Haas vertical machining CNC center in here, and 2 plastic injection machines to make all of our plastic products. And this was a 50 by 50 square building. So it's a 50 foot across the front. You can take that dimension and throw it out here over the water and see how much we lost. There's really only about 5 foot left on this side. There were some things that survived. One of our molds was sitting right here under some of this debris. The Shape 0 mold was right here when we came through the door, and was saved. A couple toolboxes and things like that. Some of our electrical supply stuff made it. After the storm directly, the whole front of this building was actually still standing. So we had a garage door here, and we had the roof line and everything. And progressively over the next week after the storm, it leaned over, and it actually ended up, with the weight of the door, falling over and into the creek. So we were able to come in and recover a lot of stuff before that happened. So luckily, we salvaged some things. but there's still some left to do here. We're unable to salvage more electrical components because the electrical here on the wall is the only thing holding it together from falling apart. That conduit is the only thing keeping it together right now. You can see how cracked up it is. Hopefully we're going to take this down and transport it to one of the other shops and possibly use it, but like I was saying, right now it's the only thing holding the wall together. So over here to the right was where we had a compressor and chiller and some auxiliary equipment for supporting manufacturing, and this is somewhat made it. These two containers survived. One of them has a bunch of different storage materials, and one actually housed all of our plastic raw materials, and so all of our base materials and custom colorants and things that are very difficult to replace actually survived, and that's one thing that helped us get moving after the storm, is we had some of those components. And then over to the left, we had one workshop here in front of where Dad and Destiny are standing, where we made all of our sponges. Each one is cut on a machine that we built and then hand sanded and meticulously rolled over to make sure it's ready to go out to customers. We had 4 full-time employees in that shop. That shop, the activity there has now been moved up the road to 9B, our other facility that survived the storm. In a lot of ways, you're looking at exactly what we were looking at right after the storm. There just really wasn't much left here at this site. If it went into the water, it got blended up and sent down. Our forklift was recovered from right over the edge here. We also had a Bridgeport milling machine that we recovered right over the edge. Right now we're about 30 feet up from the current water level, and the bank to the river used to be about 40 feet to my left, and it has come significantly over towards us and on this side of the property. All of this land that you're looking at across the creek was put back after the storm. This was all completely scoured down to rock, and people have done restoration work. And further over here to the left, you can actually see right there 2 of the concrete footers for the house. That was Mudtools' office, shipping and receiving down below, and my brother Micah's apartment up top. That went down and got churned up. A lot of it broke up and actually became a debris field here on the left side of the creek across the bridge, where we were able to go and recover some things and help clean some of those items up. And there's really not much that we can do anymore with this property because of the right-of-way of the highway and the restrictions being so close to a creek and reinstalling any kind of septic system. And without that, you can't really have people working on site. So unfortunately, this property is a really nice swimming hole now, is basically what Dad owns. And a reminder, we drive by this property every day still to and from work. And so it's a daily reminder of what happened, but what we're fighting to hopefully rebuild. Okay, well, welcome to 9B. This is the new Mudtools main facility. We did have this property before the storm, and we were producing a few product lines out of this building, but we have crammed the rest of the company into it essentially, and we were kind of towards the tail end, but still renovating the building as well. So there's some things that are unfinished that we're working on, but. This is the current office space right now. It's in the lunchroom. The crew comes in and eats here. We've got our little kitchenette prep space here. And this is where all the product comes in and gets checked in. Currently, I'm working on a project rebuilding our sponge cutter, which is a piece of equipment we use in the mud sponge line. And I've got a bunch of bits and bobs laid out for that.
We've also installed, before the storm, we installed a wood boiler heating system, so we could use all of our wood chips and leftover pieces from producing products to actually heat the building. And then all the wood that naturally falls down throughout the year, we harvest all that and actually heat the building in the winter with it. Right through this hallway here is the left bay of the building. This bay right here is storage for components. We've got packaging, we've got mud wire handles, mud shark bodies, grinding belts, some spare equipment. This next room right here is where we make all the mud wires themselves. We assemble them. The next bay down is an enclosed grinding room for grinding the do-alls, drag tools, and pedal knives by hand. And once they're ground in that area, they come out and they get bent at this table and then go over on the other side of the wall for heat treating and sandblasting and painting and packaging. And behind you there to the right is the new packing room, which was totally wiped out and rebuilt. So everything you're seeing here is new essentially. It's a little bit tight at the moment, but we're making do. We're going to be bringing in some shipping containers to help alleviate that space problem, help with some storage. But we were able to upfit this semi-quickly. We got some stuff from my grandfather's house, and a Joann's store in town closed, and we went and bought some stuff from them, and we kind of knew some things that worked well. And it's come to be a pretty good space overall. Through this room here we have the spot where we package sponges and assemble essentials kits. This section here to the right is the rebuild of the sponge operation, where we make all the mud sponges. And so that was a total loss, that we had to fully rebuild all the equipment space and reacquire raw material to be able to set that back up. In the center there we have a heat treating station for hardening our metal tools. Behind that is an enclosed paint booth for painting all those metal tools. We assemble the wire tools there in the back left hand corner, and through that door at the back is a contained sandblast room, so that it keeps all the air out here nice and clean. We also we built a little compressor house here, so that we didn't all go insane listening to the compressor run all day and blow off. And we've got some raw or finished product right here stored, and boxes all over the place. We fulfill both wholesale and retail out of this small area up front. And we appreciate everybody's patience on the wholesale side. We're doing our best to catch up, and we appreciate the orders that everybody's put in. And we appreciate everybody that goes to the website and does a retail purchase with us. Luckily there, we get that to you a little faster. We've got a 2 to 3 day turnaround on all retail orders, which is pretty awesome. And here we've got a lot of our products back. We've got mud sponge packs, we've got shredders, we've got the mud wire line here, we've got all our do-alls and drag tools, the bump tools, mud sharks, individual mud sponges. These are our ashwood paddles that my brother Micah makes, and they're all from locally sourced wood, and they're completely from a tree hit the ground. We take it up the road, it gets sawn up and kiln dried, and then he takes it through the whole production process to get to a finished product from a raw tree. Right here we've got our polymer ribs. Luckily most of those are now back in stock. However, that was a big holding point. We lost all the molds and all the equipment to produce these. But they've been trickling back in, and we're close to actually having them all back in stock. Main packing desk right here, and then we've got mostly just box storage, some larger ribs. We've got all our stainless steel tools here, like our thin stainless parts. We've got a large variety of those. We've got a little bit of swag, some trucker hats and dad hats, and some t-shirts and stickers here and there. And then if you look out the Out the window, that building over there is a Quonset hut, is our storage facility, where we've got a lot of raw and finished materials, and a lot of different pieces of equipment that we use in manufacturing that we don't need right on the floor every single day. It's a cycle, and this will happen again eventually, and so we're adjusting our building plans a little bit, and we're not going to be building back at the location 9A that we lost. Right. That one's not really on the table. But when you step back and kind of take a micro view of it, it's happened a lot, and it's going to keep happening a lot. And a good example of that is down the road here. There was a section in a bend that washed out, and it washed out and created about a 40-foot vertical cut through the earth. And the river was running against it. It's very straight. And this is on the other side of a road into a bank, into a hill it cut into. And about 30 feet down into that 40-foot cut is clean, polished river stone that was there.
Yep.
And you just pause and go, okay, this riverbed has been over there, it's been over there, it's been here, it's probably gone back over there.
Yep.
You realize that, we're here, we're observing a very short period of history. And I think you do have to work around those environmental factors, but it's not scaring us off. I think the best word I've used is stubborn.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, we don't have an option, but it's not like we would take one if we had it. We still love this place, we still love it here, and we want to be a part of building it back.